Hey everybody, it is record time with Chris, episode 46, and this might be the final episode of the year. It gets like so busy at music stores in December that even if you work in the office, you feel that pressure, and so yeah, anything we can do here to make things smoother at the stores, we do, and making videos maybe not part of that. So what's happening today? Well, definitely going to have some vinyl cam, because you'll see some of these some of the records I want to tell you about are kind of harder to describe, but I think you'll get it when you hear them, including one thing that's pretty obscure, but every time I mention it to people and describe it, they're like, what? Oh wow, yeah, that sounds like something I need. There's a reissue that is pretty important that I know a lot of people probably didn't hear about but would be into. We got this thing to talk about, and there's a couple series of records I want to mention that are good for people who like stuff that's kind of being pulled out of the rare stuff from the distant past that well, you'll see. And but you know how my mind works, so there's a good chance that that I won't be mentioning some of these, or that I'll be mentioning other things as we go. So first one I want to bring up, and this came out on CD a little bit before the records came out. The band, I think, is called Koenjihyakkei. I'm just going to hold that up so you can see that. The drummer is the drummer and the main guy from the Japanese band, experimental prog, The Ruins. So this is a much, denser, definitely progressive, definitely out there project of his. If you're familiar with Magma, the sort of krautrocky, they call their style Zool. So this is like Japanese Zool, basically. And I'll explain what that is in a sec. So you got you got your Obi strip. There's an extra track on the vinyl that's not on the CD. Of course, there's the CD is a digipack, so you get some of the feel of this, but I mean, it is awesome. You get lyrics on the inside, which are important because just like Magma, they're singing in a made-up language, but this one is not as well documented as Kabayan. This may be the only instance of this particular language. The records themselves are like a kind of bizarre splatter color. Let me see if I can get this just right. Yeah, it's kind of like brown. It's brown with a bunch of other colors, almost bronze. And the other record is a little lighter, a little redder, but still looks weird. Maybe it'll look better on the old turntable. We'll see. Comes with a double-sided poster. One side has the album art, and the other side is a collage of the band members, and this is not a bad representation of what it sounds like. But what does it sound like? Well, it sounds a lot like Mag. So it's like a intense prog, but it's heavy. He's a real heavy drummer. So you think of like the heaviest, like a Terry Bozzio kind of guy. Heavy. There's a lot of little pieces of melody and bits and things that you can kind of hang yourself on to, that you can just kind of hang on to. A lot of the melodies are like little short phrases repeated 4 times, and then you get another chunk of melodies repeated 4 times, and then another one over here. So it kind of, and then it loops back. Like when you first listen to it, it's going to sound like mayhem. But if you stick with it, you're definitely going to get, it's going to start to sound like something's happening that you can understand. Let's talk about this one here. So, yeah, this is the second Bull Moose exclusive. The first one, I don't know if I talked about ever. It was, we have a pink version of this Boston band, Weekend Friends. And you can see it's W-E-A-K, week, like, you know, weekend, like they've been Weekend Friends. It's pink vinyl, which is cool because the insert lyric sheet is pink. And they're from Boston, but the drummer's been doing a lot of stuff with Bull Moose. So over like last 10 years, he's from Maine. And so it was kind of cool to have that be our first one. But here's our second one. We're working with Tidal Waves Music on this. They tracked down Warren Adams, who's the fellow who founded the group. I haven't heard the record because don't have it yet, but I have heard wave files that the label sent us, and they sound really good. My guess is that they definitely got the master tape from Mr. Adams. And one, just because it sounds better than something taken from an old record. And two, it's the stereo is pretty wide. It's a pretty wide stereo, which is you know, maybe wider than would have been possible for like a, you know, small company to cut like that. Like you'll hear. I'll play it for you a little bit. You can put headphones on and if you want and see what I'm talking about. It's cut and it's going to be pressed at Precision Record Pressing, which is a Canadian company. We have 100 clear copies. Why not purple? Well, it's because a really great label that's based in Ohio, like the band was, has the purple. And they have more of them. I'm talking about Coal Mine Records. Great label. They focus on, you know, new funk and soul and R&B music. Really great label. Heck, I mean, I bought a purple copy. I ordered a purple copy from them. Maybe you want a purple copy or you want both. I don't know. If they have any left, go for it. We still got some left as I'm making this video. It'll probably sell out, and if that happens, we're both out. You know, there'll be black copies. There's at least, I think they're making 500 black copies for other stores. So, you know, if you miss out on the color of the music is good enough that, you know, black vinyl would be worth checking out. I don't think I've described it yet. Purple Image was really a rock band in the more Hendrixy, Sly and the Family Stone type of, you know, African American rock. So there's a lot of like, there's some funk. There's also some like serious trippy stuff. If you couldn't quite tell what they were saying there over and over, it was why. WHY. That's the name of the second song. And there's also like some more like feel good R&B with a nice like up, you know, like a Jackson 5-y kind of thing, makes you feel good. They got more like a sweet soul sound with beautiful harmonies. And then there's side 2 is like one giant 15+ minute song that it's where they really loosen up. I mean, there's structure to the song, but it's where they can have longer solos and play around with the phasing that I mentioned earlier. I hope that I was able to demonstrate here that you could kind of that you could hear that there is like a you know, like an artistic coherence to all of this. It's like there's a vision there, and it wasn't a vision that a major label ever thought that they should release. Maybe they didn't hear about it, maybe, you know, who knows what. So it was only released on a very like a small regional label. So it's pretty cool that Tidal Waves found this, tracked the guy down, you know, and is making this nice reissue. The more I listen to this thing, the more I enjoy it. I think it's really, really great. Okay, new plan. Gonna stop it here, and then I'm gonna edit all the other stuff in a couple days, and you'll get that soon. But hey, until then, I hope you're listening to something awesome.